Alright, we are recording. It is Far Cry 3 continuing. And, amusingly, interestingly, this game actually got an update on Steam. I should actually have looked at for more information on it. It looks like what they did, and there is... I can understand a reason for them doing this, but I'm not sure if that's actually what they did. Where? Okay, Okay, I'm gonna head down here, then come up, do those, and get that, and then I will do the mission, which is right there. That aligns with what I've been trying to watch. Anyway, so the update. Okay, so that's right. Anyway, oh yeah, I could have looked at them anyway. The update, from what I could tell from what other people found, because I didn't investigate, removed language packs, which this does actually make sense. I'm pretty sure Steam has tried to make it where language packs are treated more like DLC, in that you select which ones you want installed instead of it just being, hey, they're all there, because I remember there was one game. Well, no, I think that may have just been part of the... I once did an article on ways to reduce install sizes, and one of the ways is you actually just get rid of the language packs you don't need, and in some games, that's several gigabytes. For this, it wasn't so big. But yeah, I mean, it's not unreasonable. Oh, okay. Sure. So it's not unreasonable, but it seems odd that a game this old, they would add, that they would do that in, especially because it's not clear if it actually is, like you can go in and toggle some of the stuff back on. So yeah, and it also, I saw someone say, it's a Steam update. It's not an Ubisoft. Which also just makes it even weirder. So yeah, I don't really know. Yeah. But yeah, that did happen. Personally, I was hoping when seeing it that it was going to be a like me moving the phoning home to servers that don't exist. Which I did see. Apparently you can disable that, but it requires doing hex editing of files, and I don't do that. Alright. Now, what have I got noted in the news? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Let's go with that one. So this is, just continuing with talking about Steam. The beta updates, I'm not on them. I'm not using them. I don't need to risk stability stuff. Although I will grant that these are actually kind of interesting. For Steam Desktop and the Steam client, the beta does a lot of changes, including changes to the overlay, such as just a new way to access the different information. Okay, that's nice. The addition of a Notes app, that's intriguing. So it is like, you can have it build up a to-do list this way. And it is, in fact, preserved. It's saved to your account, so, and syncs then for that game. So, like, if I had a to-do list here, in this game, if I would have then, well, actually, yeah, it's weird. I actually launched it through Ubisoft, because, like, it has to go through that anyway. But I still do get the Steam overlay, because it recognizes that the game is running. I own it on Steam, but it ties it is connected to the Ubisoft account. Oh crap. for me. Keep at it. Oh, it just went. Really hoping it would do more than... That worked. Holy crap! That worked. No, I want... No, I want to loot them. Here we go. But something else that's neat with this Steam update, well, incoming update, I should specify, it is not current, it is only in beta, is it will, you can also pin these windows in the overlay. So I could actually have it just shown in the corner of the screen, whatever my my notes are, or I could have a guide there, or I could have a discussion thread, or I could just have the web browser. All that is pretty neat.
It was beautiful once. It will be again.
I don't necessarily know how much I would use it, though. It depends. Because, I mean, it's like, a game like Satisfactory, that I'd use it in, but it also already has its own notes. But I could see other things. Like, I could see a Civilization-type game. Where I forget what it is I'm specifically trying to do. And seriously, that happened to me so much when I was more actively playing such games.
Wait and see. We will be.
Oh. I just wanted to get to crafting. Oh, okay. I think that is what I just unlocked. I mean, it would actually be nice. Holy crap, look at that. But I think it would be the shredder I'd actually want to get to use in place of the thing. Although I don't know what ammo it uses, which is a problem. All right, so that one there. So another, there's actually two topics here with AMD, and then I've got one more thing that'll probably spend. Oh wait, I'll mention that first. So it's like, first is one thing that there's a lot of sales right now at GOG. They started their May the 4th, so if you're interested in any Star Wars games, you may want to check that out, at least if they're DRM free. Sorry. Like, I don't know if Fallen Order is on there or not. So, you know, one of the newer games, and its sequel just came out. Steam hasn't started its May the 4th sale yet, but I'm sure that's coming. They might just, you know, start it closer to the 4th. But GOG also has a Space Out sale, and they also just started today for me, yesterday for you, the Good Old Games Week sale, which is tempting, but I don't know if I really want to spend much money on games I probably won't play for a while, especially since I realized I forgot to pause the Humble Monthly this week, which is fine. I'm sorry, this month. So I just got a bunch of games that it's like I don't specifically need. That's fine, though. I mean, I redeemed 3 of them. I remember 2 of them. Whoop.
Wonder what she's cooking.
Wait. Oh, no. They are fine. Revicta, which I actually need to check. Did I get a review key for that? I did not. But it's a roguelike that sounded interesting, so I may give it a shot. I don't know, though. Not on my list. But also, Death Stranding was on there, which I actually already have that, thanks to a, holy crap. Okay, that thing is tough. I did not realize this tiger would be that difficult to kill.
Ew.
Yeah, I already have it on the Epic Games Store because it was given away. I think that was like day 1 of one of the Epic sales, however long ago. I have not installed it, but it's just one of. I've not installed it. I've not played it yet, but it is one of those. Yeah, I don't mind having a copy on Steam. Steam is a little bit more convenient for some stuff. Holy crap. Okay, I'm just gonna run. I did not realize I was gonna be in this much trouble with those things. And let's craft up some more medicine. Oh. Gotta... What? I really didn't need that combat. It's all the way over there. I guess one thing is like with the was it Star Wars Jedi Survivor? Is that the name of the sequel? It is interesting. I've seen some stuff that sounds like it's not. Crap! Now I'm confusing with another game. I haven't looked too closely at it yet, and I don't really want to look too closely at reviews because, like, well, I would like to play it at some point on my own. That is one thing. I look at reviews so less frequently ever since I started reviewing games. Like, yeah, I'd rather form my own opinion. You know, like, I'll see headline stuff, you know, those kinds of quick summaries, and it's like, that'll help me know it's like, oh, this is not a good game. Or it's say, yeah, I'll give it a shot. And I think something I was seeing was that it's like, it's probably a game I'll enjoy. But apparently it is getting review bombed on Steam because the PC version is so badly optimized and such. Which, not to suggest that it's not an issue and not a reason, not cause for complaint, but you know, let's also, you know, be a little. What? Oh shit! I mean, I'm dead.
Behind cover. You'll be there in half a minute. We are coming in from the east. I'm gonna fuck you up.
None of this is going how I hoped it would. In case you were wondering. I think the tiger's actually still killing things. Yeah, it is. Alright. That went a lot worse than that last one. Just trying to remember where I was in my notes and all that. Don't let me harvest that skin. I won't. Actually, you know what? As I think about it now, that makes sense. I think I do remember that you don't... If I had skinned it before completing the capture, I think then I would have got it. So yeah, the next few things I got, and then there's a third final thing that I'll be able to ramble on, so I want to do that one last, is some AMD news. One is that apparently, and I've not seen anything that makes certain about what the actual issue is, but apparently some Ryzen 7000 CPUs have been cooking themselves. It's not clear entirely. I've seen some different theories too. But essentially, like, one thing that does seem consistent is that the CPUs, for whatever reason, start pulling up more voltage than they should, as in, not somebody just cranked up the overclock. No, as in, this is actually going beyond limits that are supposed to be set in there. And so one thing that I don't know, that seems kind of crazy that it would be the answer, but maybe it is. That supposedly, in theory, this is one theory I saw. I don't know if it's true or not. It seems very ridiculous if it is. But that some of the sensors on the CPU might get disabled, so it doesn't realize it's pulling way more voltage than it should. But it ends up cooking the CPU, utterly destroying it. But it's also, it'll actually produce a bulge on the base. So on the grid array, the land grid array? Is that what LGA stands for? But it actually creates a bulge there. It is so hot it deforms that substrate, and can also damage the socket on the motherboard. It's bad. Yeah, I mean, bad. But good news is, like, I think I was sort of seeing stuff about it earlier this week, and yesterday AMD had already shared a statement that, yep, we've figured out a root cause and are working with board partners to get firmware updates out that will address them. And that statement, I used the an Antec article for the source of it, involved like making sure it's not pulling from the rail when the voltage rail's inappropriate. So it is definitely a voltage, pulling too much overvolting. But the exact nature of this, I don't know. And we might never know. Well, no, we will find out some of it. But yeah, like they've already. Okay, that's. But the fact they've already developed and deployed an Agisa, so that's the way AMD BIOSes work, and have for a while now, is Agisa is basically the underlying firmware that's what's actually on the CPU. The rest of the stuff, the BIOS stuff, the UI and all that, that's from the motherboard manufacturer. That's not AMD. But an Agisa, like, the Agisa is what's consistent across them. So, like, I might... Actually, no, because there should be somebody down there. Alright. That went okay. Not great, but not terrible. So it's like that's already been... The Agisa's already been sent out, so if you have a 7000 series CPU, you may want to, watch for that update to apply. But it is unclear from what I've seen about what exactly has happened. Like, what is causing it, necessarily. Like, do you need to be afraid? Do you need to be concerned? I've not seen anything to be too specific on that. Supposedly, though, people have been noticing it with if you enabling the Expo or XMP memory profiles, which are technically memory overclocks, and so the theory that I'd seen people putting forward is that for whatever reason these are causing the SoC voltage, because that includes the memory controller, to increase. And that's where the problem. But I don't know for certain if that is it, and I don't know when or if we may have to find out. And there'll probably be some people that will try to, that will have sacrificial CPUs to test with. And also some places, some outlets have been buying up, or just already have some CPUs that are bad and will be able to investigate that. Like, yeah, I remember seeing... It's actually kind of funny. This was a bit ago. Oh, yeah, I should also clarify on that. Some people noticed that it was predominantly happening with the X3D series CPU. So the ones with 3D V-cache. Well, it turns out people have also been discovering this with non-X3D, so older than, like even came out before those. DeBauer, he got sent a CPU a while ago. It was a 7900X that stopped working, and to confuse the person, he was like, all right, well, yeah, I'll take it. And sent the guy a different one. I don't remember if it was an upgrade to like a 7950X, but he has done stuff like that before, where it's like, yeah, I'll take a look at this, can make a video around it, things like that, and here, I've got the spare part. So you can have this. And he looked at it, and his mind was blown by some of it, because looking at he delidded it, and he needed to, because he recognized that there looked to be solder on, leaking out around. He's like, what? He delidded it differently. I mean, the CPU was already dead, so he basically just CNC'd the lid off, the IHS off. And what he found was the Indian indium tin solder that is used to connect the IHS to the dies. There's a spot where it's like, he's looking and it's like, okay, I've worked with solder before. I've worked with this solder before. That looks like it melted and lost the connection between the die and the IHS, which would explain it overheating, that the connection there was bad. But it was still just one of those, he's like, I have no idea how this could happen. And he was genuinely shocked. But he decided, with all this news about issues, he decided, let me take a look at this again. And he looked. It's not as dramatic as on some of the examples that have been floating around online. But looking, he's like, yeah, it is actually. Why is this? I'm just trying to clear these out. There we go. But, oh, yeah, that's right, I would have stuff. But he was looking and saw that, yeah, there's the same kind of deformation on the pads as well, on the substrate as well, which he also pointed out, and several other people have as well. The deformations are basically all at areas where you have pins for voltage coming in or the ground, so the voltage going out. Oh yeah, and that also reminds me of something I saw. Somebody saying that, can't remember the name of the law in physics, but basically that voltage equals current times resistance, and the person was like, yeah, you realize very quickly that's not true. It's like, no, I'm pretty sure that is true, you're just neglecting that, because you can't have voltage controlled separately from current. It's like, my guess is, no, that law is still in effect. But what you don't realize is, and this is actually how at least some processors work. You set it to like 1.2 volts, let's say, which would be if you're overclocking for some stuff. It actually will always get 1.2 volts. You pull something up, it's like, but it says it's only using 0.7 volts. No, it's still getting the full 1.2 volts. The difference is just going out through the ground. So it is, what matters is how much it's using there, and it does just dump some to the ground. And that is actually how a lot of electronics work, and you don't necessarily realize this, where all the energy is actually still going there, but so much just goes out through the ground that it's like the total net use is lower. And there's some weird other stuff like that too. So like, here's one thing that it's really neat. I know I'm paused and rambling, but this is really a neat thing. It's called beam forming, where basically you can take, and they do this with Wi-Fi. They've also done this with sound, I believe. But with Wi-Fi, you'll take like an array, like 10 by 10 array of wireless access points, all with their own antennas. And by modulating the power and frequencies such of all of the antennas, instead of it being broadcast in a spherical pattern, as you would think with just one antenna, you can have it focused down to one specific spot. And there actually are some very high-end routers that have like 9 antennas, because they say they do beam forming, because you need that many. Here's what's really neat though. Technically, let's say it's 10 by 10, so and let's say 1 antenna each, so that's 100 antennas, right? You might be pushing 10 watts to each of those, which would actually be huge. Let's say instead 1 watt, because that's actually more reasonable for how much an antenna would get. So that's 100 watts there. But you've done the beam forming. And the receiver for that, maybe it's only, if you would have measured, you might only measure 10 watts. But here's the thing, the beam forming means outside of that beam, there is no signal, okay? It doesn't exist there, it's 0. So it's only 10 watts at that output. Here's where it's neat, and this is physically accurate. Like, this is how it actually works. It doesn't matter that technically all of these antennas are being used. So that's 100 watts, because 100 antennas at 1 watt. Because it is only measured, the output is only measured at 10 watts. And we're assuming idealized stuff here. That means that the actual total power usage is 10. It doesn't matter that it's 100 1-watt antennas, because the output is only 10 watts. The input must also be only 10 watts, because the 90 watts can't just disappear. So yes, you do actually see systems where the voltage going in, so much of it's actually being dumped back out to the ground, which in a computer, that means it goes back to the power supply. So but it closes that loop there, and so it might still be getting the whole 1.2 was the example I was using volts, but if it only uses so much, it's dumping the rest. So you could then have where the current appears to be defying V equals IR, voltage equals current I, and R resistance. Where it appears that way, but it's like, no, the voltage is higher. You're just not using all of it, but you are using the current. So you can have weird stuff like that happen, and it is... That stuff is neat to me, because it's just one of those... This whole... It's like, no, the output, you do need to consider that. If that's lower than the input, then the input is lower, unless you can account for it in resistances. But yeah, it's neat stuff like that. And it is also how you can... Like, beamforming, part of the reason that's used is actually because it can be so much more energy efficient, too. Because you could then have, a much stronger signal, and cleaner signal, but at very low power. Let's move off that topic. There's one more with AMD, and then another thing that, as I said, I'll be able to ramble about, even though I did ramble. But let's get Dennis going. Actually progress this game, which I'm hoping it will unlock access to
attack our village. He is gathering weapons even as we speak now.
My friends are in trouble too.
What did the message say?
They've been taken to somewhere called PC. Boss is gonna ransom them and then sell them anyway.
Oh, this is good then. You have time.
Jason, please, fight for us. The Rakyat will be murdered. If you can sabotage the weapons, it'll weaken Vas. It'll be easier to kill.
I'll do it.
I knew we could count on you. The pirates stuck weapons in the logging camp in the jungle. Shut off the alarm first, okay? If it is triggered, they will secure the weapon shed. Steal the explosives, then destroy the weapons. You got that?
Okay.
Good luck.
Far away is not a kilometer, but oh, it's right next to one. But look, it's all nice and green around here because I've been clearing the map. There are reasons to do it. So the other piece of AMD news that is much more positive is they announced the a couple new APU. They dropped using the APU naming, but I still use it. So that's basically just, CPU with GPU integrated in, but like a powerful GPU, not like the 7000 desktop CPUs with, was it 2 RDNA 3 cores? Sorry, not cores, compute unit. It's like that doesn't count as an APU, because those are literally meant there just so you have a display, which is fine and still very useful. I'm glad they're doing that. But it's not like what you see in laptops. Or, as in this case, handheld PCs. Is that what they would call it? Gaming? I don't remember. But basically the Steam Deck. Though this isn't going to the Steam Deck. What they announced was the Ryzen Z1 and Z1 Extreme, which seemed to be... I'd have to check. I think that at least for the GPU, that it is more powerful than what they've announced previously for... Phoenix Ridge, right? The 7040, I think that the code name is Phoenix. Where it's the Z1 is 6 Zen 4 cores, 12 thread, with 4 RDNA 3 GPU compute units. I keep wanting to say cores, but they are compute units. That is the actual language there. Like how NVIDIA uses CUDA core. Same concept. The Z1 Extreme, however, is 8 Zen 4 cores, so 8 cores, 16 thread, and 12 RDNA 3 compute units. And I think that is more than what has been announced for the 7040 series. But it's also hard to say because those technically... Well, they were like paper announced, like, hey, these are coming, but I don't think any specifications were shared clearly yet. That's supposed to be soon, because those are supposed to start getting those actually shipping, like product laptops with shipping shortly. But the first use of the Z1 and Z1 Extreme is to be the Asus ROG Ally, I believe it's called, which is basically a Steam Deck competitor. And it's definitely interesting. Personally, I don't know about any of this stuff. I mean, the idea of the Steam Deck is nice. Like the whole, lie back somewhere, recline and play a game, but it's also like, I like keyboard and mouse. In fact, I'm going to be building a new keyboard either this weekend or next, depending on phase. I am looking forward to that. That'll be fun. But it's like, I don't want to give that up. And really, I'd want to get a new laptop, upgrade my laptop before I would do something like that, where it's like, no, I need that. I need the laptop. I don't need this thing. But it does make me wonder and hope that they may also release... Well, that you may also see laptops using it as well. That is hard to say, though. Because... How do I want to put it? Especially when you get to the laptop CPUs, that comes down to who pays the money for priority. So Asus clearly paid to get priority, so they get the first. No one else has announced anything. So it's like, it is...
Here's the camp. Now for the alarm.
But it's also like how, now I get the tutorial on alarms. I don't remember which generation it was, but one of the previous generations, Asus, also paid for and got, access to, like, the whatever series HS. Which, it wasn't a more powerful CPU, it wasn't more efficient, so it was just better bin. And it's like, these Z1 processors are 15 to 30 watt TDP, which is reasonably efficient, especially the Z1 Extreme. That's kind of nuts to have that efficiency there. Keeps facing away, so if I get...
For more reinforcements.
I hate it here.
Just wanted to go back. I think I might be able to get this without anything else. Find out.
Oh, it's hot. Too damn hot. Someone just fucking shoot me.
Oh, that was interesting.
Whoa!
Protect the shed!
Let me out.
I'm getting bored.
Don't let him get the weapon! I'm gonna fight
Whoa!
It's exploded!
Boom.
Are you kidding me? Going after him!
Jason, a fine piece of work. Now, tell me about your friends.
The radio said Voss was recording ransom videos at PC.
PC? Pirates Cove. But we call it Sunset Cove. That's one of the prisons.
Got it.
Remember, Jason, the strength you receive from the past will help you succeed.
Alright. And that's it. See, I think I was saying, I do wonder if we will see the Z1 to laptops, which is possible. Because it should be, maybe it might not, but I would think it would be the same socket. It's basically just a special version of the their mobile CPU. But it is still, it's like, you know, the one I'd like to get. I'm interested in the Framework 16 inch, but that's not launching until the end of the year, as I recall. You can already put down a $100 deposit, I think it is, to like reserve your place, and it's like, yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm sorry, I want specs. What the hell? Why would I spend any money on something where it's like I have no idea what the specifications of this are going to be? Because there are certain specifications I do want, and I don't care that's, you know, 100% refundable. It's like, no, I'm waiting until I get that information. But it is still, it will be interesting. And also interesting because, so as I said, Asus, you know, certainly paid for the privilege of getting these first. But what is interesting to note is that, at least in my opinion, if it were just a Asus thing, though, I don't think, like, if this is something only Asus is getting, I don't think that AMD would make an announcement about the series. That's just my opinion, but it's like, you know, why would you announce this unless they also know that, you know, like, MSI is gonna Dell probably not HP, but I could see Dell doing Acer 10. That's a lot easier than I was trying to kill earlier. Oh, was that really just the heavy duty rock? mean, that's fine. That's all. It's just... Is that all? Really? Oh, man. Yeah, I could see Acer, Dell. I would doubt HP. It's what I would doubt. MSI. I already said MSI. Do that. Top it off. That up. But yeah, so it would be... My guess is it will come to other similar handheld products. But will it also come to laptops? I could see Asus being like, okay, well, we're going to put it in this first, but can we also throw some in a laptop? And AMD might be like, all right. I don't know, but that would be neat. And one thing I saw, but like only rumor, and I think it was referring to this, but I could be wrong. I have no idea where that voice is coming from. Oh, over here apparently.
Remember, shoot them like they shot our buddy.
Where'd the other one go? There we go. Oh yeah, I didn't... No, give me back my bow. Give me back my goddamn bow. Oh yeah, that's right. I was also seeing rumors, and I think it was referring to the Z1s. I could be wrong. Oh, probably the Z1 Dream. But at least some are claiming, but I don't know. But that supposedly the RDNA 3 cores in some of these APUs are powerful enough to actually compete with, supposedly, rumor, very much grain of salt to this one. But that it might be able to compete with... might have been to compete with the RTX 4070 mobile GPU. Which, if that's accurate, is really freaking impressive. I mean, even if it's not, and it's more like an RTX 4060 mobile GPU, it still is, okay, you're talking about a discrete GPU that these integrated cores are able to compute. And a modern one. It's not in, like, from so many years ago that it's, not really relevant, except that, you know, oh yeah, you're upgrading to a new laptop. No, this is even the previous generation laptops are, gonna be defeated by this. Alright. Alright, I should be stopping, but I got the last thing I really do want to talk about. And why not just do the trial? Wait. Oh, that's what this is? Never mind. I thought that the trials were something else. Okay, it's just complete. Alright, then I'm just gonna make my way over there, but I am also, come on, brain. Turn over. I'm, like, not gonna actually do the mission to it as I talk. So, I've been seeing for a bit. The head of Stardock talking about various experiments he's been doing personally, but also just what they're trying to do at Stardock with AI. In fact, I don't think it was him. I think it was somebody else talked about how, yeah, the whole reason we started making Galactic Civilizations 1 all those years ago was because I thought this technology, I really wanted to have a reason, an excuse to work with, to work with the, to work with AI of the day. And it's like, okay. On some more of these things. Awesome. There we go. There's another one right by me. So I'm gonna be in trouble. Okay. Yeah. There are tigers. Some. Yeah, like right in here. Terrible idea. I'm still gonna do it. Oh wait, no. It's this. Oh well, yeah, it's right here, but also. So what they've been doing with the chat GPT type stuff, which it also explained, I'd never really looked because I didn't care about what GPT stands for. Generated pre-trained transformation or transformer. And what they want to use this for, and they showed off because it's going to be used in Galactic Civilizations 4 Supernova, is what they're calling Alien GPT. Where what they have done, and this I'd seen them talk about for a while, they've been training this system, this AI, on their library of art assets from 30 years of making these sci-fi games. So that then they can say, hey, we need an image of this, and it'll generate it. But he does make this very specific point that this is not going to replace our artist, because it's an artist that has to decide if what is generated is appropriate or not. I would also imagine, though, that you also have artists touching up this stuff as well. Because, I mean, some AI-generated stuff is really awesome, but they can have things very, very wrong. So it might be like, oh yeah, this looks great, it would be perfect. Well, no, this would be perfect, it exactly matches the style we want. But it's it's got, you know, this issue or that issue. I could see that very much being the thing. But they also want to use it for generating text for quests and interactions and such. But anyway, this Alien GPT, what you'll be able to do with it is... There's a tape. Come on, brain. Keep working. You'll be able to put in a short description of an alien species, and it will generate it for you. Art, the various traits, how they interact with other civilizations, how other civilizations interact with them. It's really the idea there, which is why when I saw it, it's like, yeah, I'm going to include this in the weekly news thing, because that's really a clever use. And I also like the whole, they're using it as a tool aspect too. Like, it is a tool here, because some people are like, oh, this stuff, it's going to take away jobs, it's going to do this, it's going to do that. It's like, meanwhile, they figured out a solution that it is just a tool. It's like, yeah, it's going to be able to generate far more work, far more of the artwork that then an artist or editor or writer can then go through, clean up, and work from that. There we go. Because, I mean, it's also worth noting that like, to me, because I do a lot of writing, it can take, like, the most recent book I've written, and I'm still doing editing in. It took me over a year to write that. Okay, but in the span of about, like, 2 weeks, I'm 2/3 the way through editing it. Well, the first pass through editing. Okay? So, if it is, in fact, that they are having the artists, having the writers still do this editing, then that's an amazing way. And it's like, now, am I a great writer? Probably not. I don't know. Nobody reads this stuff, so how can I find out? But it still is the whole... I would never, for what I do, because it's like, no, I'm generating this story myself. It is my idea and all that. Creative genius, however you want to put it. It's like, so there's no way I would trust an AI to do that. But for a game story, it's like, well, we already know what the idea is here. It might not be my idea. And we need just random quests in it as well. Being like, hey, generate some things that seem plausible here. And then you take that and I'm like, alright, so that I like this idea. It's not written very well. It's got these problems. I'm going to fix that up. But still, it's like, that editing might be like I get that done in a couple of days, this thing that was generated in seconds. And then, so it would be a way to have a lot more content created from even just one person. If it's just, I'm the one that needs to handle these stories, so somebody else gets those stories, and it's like, generate this for me, and it's like, I don't like that one, don't like that one, that one's okay, I need to fix it up, and then get to work. So I do like that, because I do believe that is... People are falling for the hype of the AI stuff right now. And it isn't yet something to really be hyped about. It is a tool. But it has, like any tool, it has limitations. Unless you're exceptionally stubborn, which sometimes I am, you don't use a hammer to screw in a screw. You get a screwdriver. And I do feel that there's some people that are thinking that that's exactly what you can do with this stuff. It's like, well, no, it's not really designed for some of this. You can't use it in that way. Well, you can, but you need to train it properly first. And that's what they've done. You know, by training it on their own assets, they know what it is it will produce and that it will have appropriate styling, or at least close to appropriate, that they can work with. Biz also, I will say, I would love to see somebody try to train one of those things on the tax code. That might be the first instance of an AI committing suicide. Fusion. But it still is like... I do think that is... We need... Right now you have the issue with the stuff that, like ChatGPT, that tries to be truly generalized. It lies. It makes up sources that don't actually exist. It's like there are many problems, and I think partly that's because it is the hype. It is like, oh yeah, it can, you know, just answer any question. It's like, well, it's making up the answer. It's not actually giving you a correct answer. And seriously, people have found that where they will ask it like for information about themselves, and it'll start talking about, oh yes, this person wrote this book. It's like, what? And they'll be like, I never wrote that book. That book doesn't even exist. Why are you telling me that? It's like, that is something that people have found with it. It's like, that's a big problem. There. Yeah. Down here. And... I think that's the one I actually cleared, and there is a spot I can stock up at. Because if I buy this, I don't know if I have enough then for the other stuff. But you know what? Let's buy it. Put it there. Back. good. And let's also just, look at this weapon. Nice. But it is this might be a SMG such that then I don't have the right ammo for it. I don't know. I truly don't know. Well, here, save. Yep. Quit. Far Cry 3. Vector. Signature. That should be enough. It is an SMG, so it is, it will be using that ammo, which I have been seeing. It seems like the snipers have an SMG, but that actually could prove a problem for me. That's okay. Here, let me actually, want to see if I can find this. I want to look at just the signature weapon. I'm just trying to look at this wiki for it, and then somewhere else, but it looks like I have to look somewhere else. Of course, it doesn't seem to be coming up right, so yeah. Signature. There we go. So there's the AMR Z93, which what? Explosive rounds? It would be nice if it actually said what these were. Okay, so that is a sniper rifle, but explosive round. M133. That's a shotgun. Oh wait, hey. I had to find a bunch of relics for stuff here. Bushman, which that's an assault rifle. Extended magazine, marksman, sight, optical. Okay. There. What it has? Yeah, this is not the best put together wiki. The 44 Magnum, which I think I just got. If I find 6 letters of the lost, I'll get a Japanese tanto for a custom machete. MKG, which is the large machine gun. Oh, sorry, light machine. That's what. Which is oh, okay. I can get that if I do 6 Trials of the Rocky. And it costs $4,200. But increased rate of fire, accuracy, damage, and range. Lower recoil, an extended magazine at 200 rounds, an optical scope, and a custom paint job. Okay. Yeah, the vector. Oh, and that. Okay, I got that because 10 memory card. All right. Not bad. But anyway, yeah, going back to the whole stuff with the AI, I do. It should be recognized as a tool. And I feel that there are a lot of people that they don't. They believe the hype that, oh, this is changing the world. It's like, it's not going to change the world as much as you. It is a major accomplishment, yes. But here's something that a lot of people probably don't realize. We've had AI in computers for a long time. Okay, like it's this is a point that I kind of want to do a talk somewhere that I've given talks before about science fiction, and it would be a bunch of college students there. There's a good chance that I'd be able to tell them that AI has been used in computers longer than they've been alive. But, and in fact, it would be a lot longer than they've been alive, as I think about it now. But none of them realize it, because we dropped recognizing it as AI because optical character recognition just got too mundane. But no, OCR actually is an old example of AI because it was trained to better recognize the character. But we don't count it anymore because it's so common. And I do think that that is something that is very important for people to keep in mind. That some of this stuff we already have. We've already been benefiting from, and it's just become so pedestrian we forget that it's like AI has to be exciting. Once it's no longer exciting, it ceases to be AI. It is just whatever the tool is. But it's this stuff. It is a tool, a powerful tool, but you know, it's always going to be up to the craftsman. And also one other thing I will add, because some people have that fear of, you know, robots trying to take over the world and all that. You know, Skynet coming to life, the Matrix coming to life. It's like, okay, I'm not concerned about when ChatGPT starts talking about that crap. Here's why. What has it been trained on? It's been trained on the Terminator series. It's been trained on the Matrix series. It's been trained on all of that. Because that's where it's pulling from, is stuff on the internet. At least I think it's stuff on the internet. People talking about this stuff, talking about these fears. And it's going to think then, because it can only extrapolate from what is in its model. So its model keeps saying that, yes, AI turn evil and try to take over the world and commit genocide. Then it's going to think that's what it's supposed to do. Because that's what it's being trained to do. So it's like, people freaking out over that. It's like, no. It's only regurgitating the crap that's been fed to it, which includes that stuff. If you didn't include that stuff, it probably wouldn't have a legitimate answer. A valid answer. But it's also, like, iRobot, which I'm pointing to even though you can't see it. Because it's, you know, on a stack of books over there. I read that 14 years ago now? I still remember a fair portion of it, though. And now, true, it does humanize the robots, probably too much. But it does present many of them, at least, as super intelligent, which is something we do not have. And honestly, I could see an argument that we will never achieve super intelligence in AI. Anyway, Skynet, The Matrix, those are examples of super intelligence. But it still is. It depicts in there some of these being used. It's like the AI, the robots, being tools. And just being used that way, and still causing some issues, but that they are just tools. And people having to get used to that and figuring out how best to work with them. Like, there's one story where the premise is that satellites have been constructed that collect energy, or maybe it's like got the reactors there that generate the energy, and then beam it down to Earth to certain receptacles that receive it. So basically, you know, imagine having a nuclear power plant, but it's in orbit, so if there's a problem, there's no direct impact. Like, if it explodes, it's not a problem. But the issue is, if the beam misses, it'll cook whatever it hits when it beams it down. And I don't remember the names of the two characters, but they work for American Robotics and have to go around and, like, make sure things are working right and all that. And this one robot that's on the satellite has basically found religion. But its religion is, its idol for it is the satellite. It praises the satellite. And they are so terrified because they cannot reason with it. Because it's basically its purpose in life, its purpose in existence, because it doesn't really have a life, is to serve this satellite. It's like, okay, so that makes sense. I would kind of do this. But they're terrified. Because it's like, how can we trust that it's actually going to do its job right? How can we trust it's going to aim, you know, calibrate the sensors correctly so the beam goes where it needs to? It's like they're freaking out. And then finally, the time comes when the beam is sent. It's like it was perfect. And the robot's like, what? Why? What's wrong? And they're like, oh, part of its serving of its god here is going to be making sure it's calibrated correctly. Yep, we don't have to worry about it. See ya. The next guys can worry about this. But it was just, you know, that whole kind of, it is a tool there. It has been very confused now, thinking some of that stuff, but it's like, it's serving that purpose, so we don't need to worry about it past that. Although if it were to try to convince other robots, that could become a problem. And I think that it was touched on, but is more of that whole, you know, it's like the next team that have to inspect him can worry about it kind of thing. Yeah, those two were those two characters were amusing. But it is just if you were to train an AI off of stories like that, I don't think you would see the whole yes AI as an AI I want to take over the world kind of stuff, because that's more of a no, these things exist, they're being used, but they are tools, powerful tools, but still tools. And even though they can talk to you as though they are a person, they are not. And just, well, except for the one story in there, where there's the question of, is this person actually a person or a convincing robot? iRobot is enjoyable. But it is just, we need to recognize what these things are and not so freak out with the hype. I mean, and there's also the whole, for anyone like, oh, but, so many writers, so many journalists are going to lose their jobs. It's like, okay, let's be honest about this, though. If the AI is generating text that competes with somebody who has gone through all those years of schooling to learn to write well, that has developed the skills to read a source, to distill that down into something that then can be explained, that anyone can read. If the AI is able to outcompete them in the quality of that work, not quantity, I'm setting that aside, but at the quality, that person kind of deserves to be replaced. They're not that good at it, are they? And there would also then be the issue of, it's like you used to have, and you still do have, where it's like, favorite sources, favorite people. I don't think you're going to have many people like, oh yeah, I only read ChatGPT's column in the paper. It's like, I don't think you're going to see that ever happen. It's always this person or that person. And like, those are people that will never be replaced. So these chatbots are going to raise the standard of who should actually have these jobs, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. And there is also the whole, if that's all you're doing, which admittedly, that's what I do, the Friday write-up thing, that's what that is. I wouldn't mind if I could trust an AI thing to do that. It would actually allow it to then cover more. Because it takes me like 2 hours to write that up. Sometimes more, sometimes less. It depends on how much I got. But it's like, that's... that's fine. I would be using it as a tool there. But it's like, that would allow me to work on other things. That would make it easier for me to work on review. Make it easier for me to work on performance analyses, things like that, where it's like, no, you're not going to have a chatbot review a game, because it's not going to understand a lot of what's going on there. And it's also not going to have quirks like I do with story, where you do a bad story, I'm gonna go at you. I mean, it's like you. Anyway, so it's, yeah, some people may lose their jobs, but it is also one of those, if you're really doing a good job, then that can't replace, is my thinking on that. And yeah, it's harsh, but it's also, I mean, I've applied, for over 10 years, I've been going between unemployment and underemployment. So it's basically easiest to say I've been chronically unemployed for over a decade. And I've applied for some jobs, and I'm dead serious. I've applied for jobs where I satisfy every single qualification that they're looking for, and I never hear anything. I'm going to be harsh, because, like, you have a job I can't get. It's like, I don't even get a chance to argue my case in an interview. It's like, I don't get any of that. You have the job, and if something else can do a better job than you, you know what? You need to up your game, or you do need to go somewhere else. Find something else that will get that for you. That you will be so good that you can't be so replaced. Right? Because I'm saying, I got the problem of, I don't need to worry about being replaced or not. I mean, well, where I am working right now, but it is underemployment. It's not full-time. I mean, it's like, I brought things that it's only there because of my weird experiences over the decade. But it's like, yeah, I'm gonna be harsh, because it's like, I mean, I've so suffered from the current system of how you get a job that it's like, I mean, yeah, so what? I mean, it's like, you got it easy. But it is, you just step up your game, figure out some way that makes you indisposable. It's like, I have that with my current job, where some of the stuff I brought in, that's only, it is funny, I think back on it, and it's like, I was hired to do QA, but half my job at times is doing some other stuff that's like, I'm the only reason we're doing that. Like, the only reason the company is doing this work is because I brought in an experience that none of them had, and none of them still have, so I'm the only one that can do it. So it's like, for that whole thing, which is a significant portion of one of the products we're working on, I'm the only one that can do it. I can't be replaced. If you're worried about being replaced, find a way to do that. Find a way to become that. Find something that makes you special. Find a way to make yourself irreplaceable. That used to be common logic and common advice. That you just make it where they can't fire you, they can't lay you off because they need you. And I approve of that. Unfortunately, it's a very hard thing for me to try to get through in a resume or cover letter. It's like, how do you explain when you like are applying for some job that's like, yeah, and you should also hire me because I can do basically end-to-end book publishing. I mean, not quite. I don't have the machine to do the print on demand stuff, but it's like, I write, I edit, I typeset, and I do the ebook stuff. I do all that. That's normally like for a professional writer, like something you get at Barnes and Noble. It's like there's only like 3-4 people that are involved for doing all that. I'm doing it all as one. That's valuable. No one cares. And it's like and plenty of jobs I apply for wouldn't benefit from that. But it's like, this is something I've achieved. No one else that is applying probably has that. And that proves useful. Even when it's like, but we're not looking for a writer. It's like, trust me on this. No one trusts you. I'm definitely ranting. But yeah, just going back to the whole thing with AI, it's a tool. Stop giving into the hype. Recognize it as a tool and figure out clever ways to use that tool. I think that the Stardock method, that's very clever. Train it on your own assets, and you give it to the people that the artists, the writers, the editors, so they can use it as a tool, as opposed to being like, well, Alien GPT, we want an entire game made by you so that we don't need to hire anyone else. And it's like, we only need the person that can maintain your system and me that gives you these prompts. They're not doing that. And honestly, I don't think that'll ever happen, because it's also, what are you going to have? A game that'll have to be derivative of all previous games that have been trained on. That's not really healthy, is it? Because it's just, as I said, it's derivative. I mean, true, some derivative games are fun, but it's like, we want the original stuff. That's going to mean that you need people. It's a tool. A tool for people to use. Alright. Think that's enough rambling? I think it's enough. I'll see you next time.